comes to jumping, most of us experience some kind of fear, whether it's the first time you catch that air, or it's a new jump that you have never jumped before, or you may have had a crash and you lost your confidence. In this video, we're going to go over the many ways to overcome your fear and gain your confidence back when it comes to jumping. Let's discuss. Holy smokes, we are live again. I think this is BMX Coach Live number 7. And man, I am so grateful, first and foremost. Before we even started the stream, I'm looking at my feed here and guys are already in the stream, in the super chat, already commenting. We have Connor Nyland, I'm excited. Dylan, Coach G, thanks for all the help. And then of course, Rolando was gracious enough to donate $10 to the super chat. Thank you so much, Rolando. And of course, he asked a question here, and we'll definitely get to your question. Thank you so much, Rolando. Anybody that donates to the super chat, I'm going to match that donation. And then at the end of the month, I'm going to pick a local BMX community and take that money and donate it to people that need it. At the same time, I'm so grateful and so honored and humbled when you guys do that. Thank you so much. Man, I'm really excited. Welcome to the show. If we haven't met, I am Coach Greg Romero. I've been racing since 1983. And of course, I'm here to help you guys thrive, experience your potential, and to sustain it. Welcome to the channel. If you guys haven't liked or subscribed, I really appreciate it if you can. That helps out the algorithm. And at the end of the day, the true intent of this channel and the business of BMX Training, bmxtraining.com, is to help out each other, help out the ecosystem of BMX racing. Here in America, our average membership is only lasting, our average member is lasting around 24 months. And the more members that we could get into our sport and also get them to last longer, then our sport's going to grow. It just comes down to retention and keeping guys around. And so my intent is to keep people in the sport longer, but in doing that through learning more about the sport, learning more about themselves, helping you guys progress, and having you guys have and experience a lot more fun, right? If you're having more fun, then you're going to stick around the sport longer. And that's where I come into this grand scheme of our BMX ecosystem, if you will. Last week, I posted on YouTube, I asked a question. I'm really starting to understand it. I'm really trying to get my finger on the pulse of all you guys in the community here at YouTube on the BMX Training channel. And I posted a picture and I posted a question here, and some of you guys answered, and I'm really grateful for you guys to interact. I didn't know if anyone was going to interact, and we got quite a few comments here. We got one from Jake Jensen, Jean-Philippe, Timothy Petro, Shock, Anthony Grasher, Camden Funk, Wolfgang Boy Patterson, Daniel Ramsey, or Daniel Ramey, please forgive me, and of course, Matt MC. Thank you guys so much for contributing and letting me know what you guys are looking to learn or improve on as it pertains to your specific BMX racing performance. And so today I'm inspired, by this guy here, Timothy Petro. He just simply put jump techniques and how to be confident on it. And that is something that seems to be coming up a lot lately. And, it's crazy, right? So we have jumping techniques and then we have confidence, and they're it's pretty much mutually exclusive. Like they kind of clash. And the reason why they clash, listen, when I was 35 years old 10 years ago, and so if you do the math, you'll figure out what my age is, I decided to start playing ice hockey. Long story short, I wanted to learn how to play ice hockey, okay? And in an effort to play ice hockey, first off, you have to learn how to skate, right? You got to learn how to handle the puck, do some stick handling, and then you have to take those two skills and integrate it into a game situation and learn how to play the game. Okay, so BMX racing is kind of like that, and I enjoyed learning that because it reminded me of being a BMXer at the beginning and intermediate levels growing up as a youth. I had to learn how to start all over again. I just knew I had this vision that I wanted to play ice hockey. I wanted to um, hit some slap shots and one timers from the blue line. If any of you guys, a lot of you guys are from Canada, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But I played defense, I played center, and man, I learned quickly, and it was because I hired coaching. But when I got involved, I had to learn how to skate, and it was funny because the coach that I hired, it was a girl, and she was like, "Listen, everything that you learned on YouTube, you got to unlearn that. We're going to start with the progression." So, what does this have to do with jumping? And I would say, if any of you guys at any point have lost confidence, then we have to start over and get back to the fundamentals to regain that confidence. Um, and I would say that's if it's going to be a new jump that you're going to jump at a new track that you've never been to, or perhaps you had a crash and you label jumping as something as dangerous and getting hurt, so therefore you don't jump anymore. I also deal with a lot of athletes, younger athletes, of course, and also women athletes that are looking to become Olympians, and they're getting thrown right into the mix of the steep 8-meter supercross starting hills, and the jumps are huge, man. I'm telling you, they're huge, and I get it. And so the thing is that I deal with fear a lot, and I deal with that. I kind of perform a little bit of some black magic because I'm a master practitioner of mental and emotional release therapy and also hypnosis. So I, if you guys ever have any issues, seriously, go to my website, go to the store. I do offer a product where I will help you easily and effortlessly in about an hour overcome your fear of jumping. Okay, it's a little bit of psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, and I'm enjoying awesome success right off the hop, and more importantly, sustained success. However, I'm not going to perform that on you guys today. So we need to go back to the basics and understand that it's all about learning and retraining our brain to get accustomed to the fundamentals all over again. So, shall we? And I see some questions coming in. I see the Russian potatoes here. Steve Clausen, Yukon BMX is in the house. Yeah, man, I used to live in Edmond, Oklahoma there for a minute. Aaron Greenreich from the Northwest, and Ryan Reck. Awesome, guys. I am so grateful for you guys showing up, and looks like we're gaining more and more viewers. Thank you so much for coming. And, before I get excited about this, let's jump right into the topic of, jumping techniques and overcoming your fear and reprogramming your mind and reprogramming your skills. That way you guys can continuously enjoy jumping, enjoying racing, enjoying BMX, shall we? So, and keep in mind, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment and talk to each other, help each other out. But if you guys have any questions, leave some comments in below, and then we'll get to the Ask Coach G section, which we'll probably shoot for probably around the top of the hour, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in California, San Diego, and then we'll reserve the Q&A for then. And of course, I love that part as well. All right, so typically I don't, I'm pretty expert. I pretty much do this extemporaneously. I love that word, meaning presenting without much preparation. But I did prepare a little bit. So I prepare bullet points, but I don't like script all of this stuff, man. This stuff is just coming off the unconscious mind. And so, but I do have a couple things here. And I would say, number one, I think we need to talk about levels of learning, right? So if you guys want to get your confidence back with jumping or improve your jumping techniques, we have to get back to understanding the levels of learning. All right. And of course here, the levels of learning, if we look at the bottom, okay, we start with the unconscious incompetence. That basically means you don't know what you don't know. What does that mean? That means, like, listen, like if your grandma doesn't understand what a BMX bike is, she's sure as heck is not going to understand what BMX racing is. She doesn't know what she doesn't know. If, football coaching, I don't know what I don't know. I don't even know what football coaching is, right? I'm just saying. So that's the bottom level, right? So if you've never jumped before, if you never, you don't know what you don't know, and then you move up to the conscious incompetence. Now you know that you don't know. All right. So what does that mean? That means basically, okay, well, I know that BMX racing exists, and man, there's a lot of stuff that I do not know. Okay. So when it comes to the unconscious mind and overcoming fear and regaining your confidence, you know those things exist, but you might not know how to get it back, right? Because you just don't know. So, and I'm going to give you those tricks, right? So I'm going to get you to the point where you're operating at a level of conscious competence, okay? And conscious competence means you now know and you're practicing it and you're moving towards excellence. And then of course above that we have unconscious competence is when you reach a level of mastery. You can jump without thinking, right? You're to the point where you're a professional and you're riding down that second straight at Chula Vista and you're going through the pro section. Listen, you're not worried about jumping technique. You're not worried about casing things. You're worried about the guy in front of him and you're looking to pass him, okay? I have a quick example of that, in fact. Check this out. Talk about mastery. So we have here Connor Fields in second, and he's looking to pass Sam Willoughby, and they're just blazing, right? Just absolutely blazing. That was just unbelievable. Connor had the foresight. He's just pointing where the bike needs to go, and he's just going for it. He's not thinking about jumping technique and what I need to do. That's happening unconsciously, right? He's mastered it. And this is where, if you guys are looking to regain confidence and get to a level to where you don't have to think about it, it's all about mastery, right? Isn't that beautiful? I was actually going to use this for something else. Jean-Philippe, who has been a regular here in our community of BMX training on YouTube, he actually asked a question, and we're gonna come back to this here in a second. So, isn't that lovely? That's just awesome, isn't it not? These guys are blazing. All right, so when it comes to jumping, right? So, number one, it's jumping by yourself and then jumping with others. Let's look at these exclusively. When it comes to jumping, I think we have to work on the technique, right? We have to work on the technique, work on it by ourselves, and get to the point where we're at a level of conscious competence, right? We're thinking about it. We're thinking about techniques. We're thinking about different ways to get through a section faster. And now we're working on catching backside properly with a front and rear wheel. We're not landing back wheel. We're not bonking, right? We're working on our ability to jump, moving towards mastery in an effort to jump without thinking about it. And that's the goal. And some of us may never get there because, listen, I mean, I know what it's like when I was a younger rider. I started racing when I was 8 years old, and when I was 10 years old, hitting the national circuit, I would be on the plane daydreaming. I remember one time we were going to Seattle to an ABA, which is otherwise known as USA BMX. We were heading to a rodeo event. Basically, that was a rodeo is pretty much a term for an indoor built track in a rodeo arena, and that was really popular back then. And they still do it today, right? They do it at a couple different venues here across America, like Louisville and Oklahoma. And anyways, let me keep an eye on the time. So I got 15 minutes. I remember being on the plane thinking, oh gosh, I hope there's no jumps that I'm going to have a hard time jumping. And I would have fear. I would be sitting on the plane just thinking, oh gosh, I hope there isn't like a double that I need to jump that the other competition's jumping, but I can't do it and I'm going to be scared. And don't get me wrong, I think I fought that all the way until I was pro, jumping, doing the Vans downhill BMX, and of course getting introduced at the World Cup level of racing. I did that for a year, and man, that's not easy. Hitting these jumps 40 feet long, side by side with 7 other riders going 30 miles an hour, and you're hitting your brake to scrub speed going into the first corner. It's ridiculous. And so where am I going with that? At the end of the day, I think it comes down to working on your jumping technique by yourself. And then once you get that down to a point where you're not thinking about it a whole lot, then you could go ahead and start jumping with other people. You can go ahead and integrate partners with you, and you jump the section together. So I would do stuff by yourself first. Okay, so something like this. I'll show you a video of myself. Here I am. I'm just working on jumping by myself. A little combination of jumping, manualing, okay? And I'm just gaining my confidence back, right? Just working on it by myself. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and maybe perhaps get a training partner, right? And go side by side through that section. Because it's one thing to do it by yourself, but to do it with other people, right? It's completely different. Like I could handle the puck and do all these crazy drills on the ice rink, but then in a game situation, those drills are out the door. I mean, I have to pretty much freelance. And so that, when it comes to racing, sometimes you have to be able to do a combination of manualing, jumping, and picking up. All right. So, if you guys are having problems jumping, then of course, we have to go back to manualing, right? And as you can see here, I'm manualing, and I'm working on the fundamentals, right? If you can manual the jump and it's faster than jumping, then manual. If you're in a situation when you're 10 years old and the competitor next to you is jumping and it's faster, then yeah, you have to work on jumping. You're gonna have to learn how to do it by yourself, and then start integrating some help. Maybe get an older rider to ride with you, okay, and ride side by side and get used to jumping with other riders. And that's a good way to get your confidence back. All right. Yeah, so I think that's about it, right? I think it's pretty simple. When it comes to jumping, you got to work on the technique first and move towards mastery. All right? And learn how to adapt to newer jumps at newer tracks. All right? And then of course you want to start integrating doing it with other riders, okay? I would presuppose majority of our majority of our community here at BMX Training on YouTube is beginner, intermediate, maybe perhaps the newly turned expert or the older rider that's coming back to the sport, or perhaps you're a parent. I would say a lot of this applies to all of you guys, right? So work on the technique, spend a half hour working on jumping technique. And then if you can get a partner, bring them into the mix and work on jumping side by side. All right. Cool. I think that's pretty good. Let me take a look at the Jackson Elliott ride trails. Yeah, absolutely. I think riding trails is good. And if you're a beginner and intermediate, I would say you want to learn how to jumps at the track. And then when you reach a level, you can go to the trails, and then you could work on your technique as far as like dropping the nose in a little bit more, getting a little bit more rainbow trajectory if needed for bigger jumps, and then of course working on your racer technique, right? Which is kind of doing this kind of like subterranean where you're pushing down. You have two peaks, and then you're getting the front wheel, push it down, and you pull it back up last minute, and it looks like you're like manualing without the back wheel touching the back ground. That's a very advanced technique, and I think it takes some speed, it takes some power, it takes mastering a basic trajectory of a double. Like this is very rudimentary right here. I'm not doing anything too crazy. I'm working on just floating, right? Working on a rainbow float. I think that's a drink, right? All right. What else? Jose Lim says, do you have to bunny hop to get through the jumps? Sometimes. I think sometimes bunny hopping is a great technique, and I need to create a video. I need to create a video that that shows the benefits of doing a bunny hop on a roller. So actually, if I go back to this manual right here, let's see this section right here. I wonder if I can get the video to stop. So right there, you could kind of do like a bunny hop over a roller, right? Let me show you again. So it's going to be right here. Boom. You can do a bunny hop over the roller. And yeah, that's a really easy way to catch air. And that's where a bunny hop would really come in handy. However, to do not a push through, but pretty much a floating technique, sometimes you do have to pull up like a bunny hop, but not necessarily, because a bunny hop is all about pushing the back tire off the ground and using that Newtonian third law for every action is an opposite and equal reaction. So meaning you're building up all this eccentric kinetic energy, and then you're releasing it, and then you're catching air without a lip. Okay, that's bunny hopping, and sometimes that's necessary when jumping, especially if you're jumping a bigger jump that you've never jumped before, and maybe you're a younger rider and it's really long. You know, maybe you're 10 years old. You're 10 years old, and you're trying to do a 25-foot double going in the first turn. Then yeah, it might have to be a little bit of a bunny hop technique where you're pulling up on the front end, and then you're getting a little bit more trajectory in an effort to ensure that you're clearing the backside roller, right? So yes and no, because bunny hopping is, again, it's all about creating this energy off the back wheel and performing a plyometric jump off the back wheel, right? You're picking up on the front end, but your power's coming from the rear wheel. Okay, that's a bunny hop. A very important skill, and I would say yes, it does come in handy in many situations, such as like a tap manual or coming off a manual and wanting to, you know, you're manualing and then you hop off the back wheel into the backside to catch clean backside, so you keep momentum and you're smooth. That's where a bunny hop would come in handy, something like a tap manual. Let's check out the manual again. I don't think I do any tap manuals through here. Real basic, right? I'm not. The rear end's not coming off the ground. Yeah, so my rear end's just really, really rudimentary manual. I even cased the first one there. But, you know, to advance this manual technique, then you could do a tap manual, and that's where a bunny hop would come into the play of learning how to tap manual, which is getting the back wheel off the ground so it doesn't even hit the front side of the landing. You clear that, and you're not getting hooked up on the backside, front side of that jump, if that makes any sense. Okay. All right. Well, cool. And then, you know, I think at the end of the day, like, how to be confident. So I think it just comes down to repetition, right? Doing the same thing, doing the correct thing over and over again, moving from conscious competence to unconscious competence, mastery, being able to do it without thinking. And you guys will have that aha moment where it's like, whoa, I didn't have to think about that. I recall a time when I was playing ice hockey, and I was in, you know, the first year of beginner league hockey, and I was kind of ahead of the curve. You know how BMXers do it, man. We're badasses, right? Like, we could learn and do everything and anything. Seriously, straight up. If you could learn how to ride a BMX bike and do it well, man, it gives you unbelievable confidence that you could do other things like surfing, ice hockey, football, car driving, whatever, right? Like, you know, go-kart racing, it doesn't matter. Road racing on a bicycle, it doesn't matter. Track bikes. I remember I learned how to skate backwards and do backwards crossovers. And I remember I would just, like, if you guys are familiar in an ice hockey rink, there's these circles, and I would skate backwards in the circle and do these reverse crossovers. And I would do it really slowly, right? Crossing over. I had to think about it. And I would spend like a minute or two doing the same thing repetitiously over and over and over and over again. And then I remember I showed up to a game. I don't know how long it was after I was practicing that, but I remember doing it in practice, and it just, I was just doing it, and I wasn't intending on doing it. And I was like, whoa, this is coming to me very easily and naturally. And that's what it takes for you guys. So, you know, that's what it takes for you guys to reach and have that epiphany, that aha moment of mastery, where you're just like, dude, I did that without even thinking. It came to me easily. You guys are human beings. You guys are awesome. We're good at adapting. You guys have all experienced that in some way or another. Okay. So yeah, I would say that's my take on overcoming fear and working on your jumping technique and gaining mastery. And when you gain mastery, that's true confidence. Confidence is where you don't even have to think about it. There is no fear, right? There is no uncertainty. There is no doubt. There is no thinking about it. If there's no thinking about it, then there's no room for everything and anything. There's only room for excellence, which is focusing on racing, right? Like if you watch Connor here, I mean, dude, he isn't worried. Oh, should I do a push through technique through this step jump coming out of this first turn? No, he's thinking about where can I find that space to get on the inside of Sam, carry my speed, and ensure that I have enough space to get through here and take over the lead. And this is in a main event. This is just unbelievable mastery at the highest level, and I wanted to share this with you. I mean, this gives me the chills. I mean, if you look at it, these guys they're borderline out of control. That's how much they're not thinking about technique. They're just straight up racing. I look at Sam lands back wheel. Connor landed back wheel going into that turn. These guys are all over the place. They're just racing, right? Now in practice, they're working on being smooth. Don't get me wrong. I spent a lot of time witnessing both Connor Fields and Corbin Sherrod going at it side by side, right? So you guys need to find a partner who's maybe perhaps needs to be the same age, if not older, and better than you. And you need to get a rapport with that person and ride with them side by side at the track, man. That's how these guys did it. That's how Corbin and Connor went to the next level. Every time we have a training camp, man, they would just ride, man, and just race each other. They would work on technique in the beginning in the warm-up, right? We would discuss technique. We would discuss gate technique. We would discuss, oh, the wind's coming this way a little bit, and maybe perhaps instead of pushing through, maybe we float it a little bit and ensure we get backside. Sure, we discuss strategy and we discuss all those things, but after that, these guys have mastered technique, and now they're just working on racing. And that's where I want you guys to get, right? To where you're working on racing and you're having fun. All right, guys. Man, I think we're doing pretty well on time. Yeah, let's discuss next question coming up here. One from Jean-Philippe Belanger. Stop following riders around and prepare a move in corners. Of course. Let's discuss that here right after the break. Hey guys, I have a question. What would it do for you if you could enhance your power out of the gate, enhance your sprint speed down the first straight, enhance your skills, enhance your mental performance mind state? What would that do for your racing or your kids' racing? If you're seeing the value of enhancing your BMX performance, consider joining the community of BMX Training Pro and get the same access my Olympic athletes have enjoyed, as well as thousands of BMXers all over the world. Some members use the access to improve their gate start techniques. Some also use the access to keep them motivated to train, and you'll find your reason when you gain access and join BMX Training Pro today. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much. If you guys want to support me, obviously we have the super chat, and we're going to take that money and donate that to I'm going to match that donation. We're going to take that money and donate it to a local BMX community. And of course, if you guys want to support me, become a member of BMX Training Pro over at bmxtraining.com. Check it out. I appreciate you. Let's see here. Let's talk about, let's go to Jean-Philippe's question. Again, I posted a question. I posted a picture on YouTube and saying, hey, what are you guys looking to improve on? And, in terms of your BMX racing performance. And Jean-Philippe said, stop following the riders around and prepare a move in corners. Yeah, I would say, Connor showing that piece of him passing Sam is a great example. And I would say that it takes a mindset, right? So when you're entering a corner and say you're in second, you don't want to follow the rider, right? You don't want to just follow right behind them. You want to move to the left or right of them. Pick a side of the road that they're not on. Guys, if you're in front, pick a side of the road and pick the right side, pick the inside, and make the guy behind you go to the outside, right? So if you're in second, you want to think about getting as much speed as possible and enter into the next corner faster than them, and then get close to them and then try to make a move. You can make, some kind of high-low, or maybe if it's an X-Pass, right? I don't have that video here. I should have put that up. But an X-Pass is basically, you're here in second, right? You're right here, and here is the guy that's leading, and, let me see if I can get this right. Like looking at my monitor, and Anyway, so an X pass would be, here's a leader, here's you in second. You need to get yourself to where your front wheel is almost touching the rear wheel of the guy in front of you. And then you want the rear wheel to cross and clear and just get your front wheel under the rear wheel and sneak under them and do this pass. Okay, that's an X pass. You see how I kind of formed an X? I love that pass. I mastered that pass. It's so, it has a surprise of element, right? An element of surprise to it. And so, yeah, it comes down to a mindset. So what I used to do when I was a younger pro, I would watch guys like Billy Griggs. And he was a guy that I thought had really good track speed out of the first corner. And so I think what you guys want to do is you want to find a guy who races from behind really well, right? He might not be really good down the first straight, but once he gets into the first corner, it's on. I used to coach a guy like that, a guy named Mike Day. Hello, he won a silver medal at the Olympic Games. And his mindset was, you know what, I might not have the best gait. We're going to work on that. We're going to go into the gym and try to get to the elite level of power and strength. And he did. But he's like, listen, Greg, just get me close enough to the guy into the first corner. After that, it's game on. It's game over. He was that confident. He was so confident in his skills. He just needed to get there. But his game plan was, it doesn't matter where I am in the going into the first corner. I'm going to start making moves. It's a mindset. And so you could work on passing people like by doing figure eights. Oh man, I should have brought that up. I don't even know if I can do that. Let me see. Let me look at my computer. But if you guys did figure eight turns with other riders, let's see if I can bring this up real quick. Boom, I found the video. Now I just need to enter it. First off, I would practice figure eight turns, learn how to turn on flat ground, and that way you learn the proper technique. And then you could go ahead and start integrating doing figure eight turns with a fellow rider. And I'll show you, let's see here. Let me get it. Desktop, please forgive me. All right, man. Well, I see it on the desktop. I'm just going to have to type in, let's see, Corbin, desktop, and Greg, figure eight. There it is. Hopefully it plays. Let me just check the settings and make sure it loops for us. Thank you so much for being patient. I am the camera operator, stream operator, your host. It's doing streams, man. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of stuff going on, that's for sure. All right, so there it is there. Let's go to the settings. Oh, it's a PNG. Huh. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the movie. Where is the movie? Okay, well, I don't have the movie. So we're just going to show, make sure I have audio assigned to this. So that way when I talk, you guys can hear me. And let's add a video so you guys can see me when I talk to you. Cool. Thank you so much. Check it out. So here we are, Corbin and I getting ready for the 2016 Olympics. And, as his coach, it's like, look, let's practice cornering. Okay. Because there was a time where the lead up between the Olympic trials and the Olympic Games, there wasn't a whole lot of racing to be had. So I needed to create situations for him to literally keep his elbow sharp when it came to racing other people. So we would set up two cones in a flat ground area, and we'd probably do this like after sprints or a track session or a gym session. This would be our afternoon session, and set up two cones, and we would do figure eights, and I would get in front of him and I would say, all right, man, pass me. Try to make a pass on me. I need to find that video. Man, you guys have probably seen it before. But yeah, so, this taught him how to basically get close to other riders going into turns. And I see there's a bunch of questions coming in terms of like, hey, how to be aggressive in turns. This is a way to do it. Practice away from the track, set up a couple cones, do your figure eights, master the technique, bring another rider in, have him master the technique, and then you guys just play a game of cat and mouse. And you guys could do that for like a minute and probably get, I don't know, 15, 16 turns out of it, as opposed to the track. You go on the track with somebody, it's like, dude, it takes so much energy and effort, and you're not getting a whole lot of repetition at the track. Don't get me wrong. I love practicing at the track. It's the real deal. But if you guys want to go deep and get into mastery, you guys got to do little tricks like this. Set up a figure eight, cone section, practice passing each other back and forth. There's so much that you can get out of a quick session like this. This will get you confident in getting close to other riders. It'll get you confident in terms of touching other riders. It'll get you, it'll expand your brain in terms of looking for ways to pass a rider, right? Whether if it's just a straight dive in the inside of them and bump them and move them out of the way, or it's just a straight up an X pass or a high low, if you will. And so, yeah, man, this is another way for Jean-Philippe. Thank you so much for the question. This is another way for riders to get creative in terms of stop following riders and prepare for moves, right? We have to train our riders to do this kind of stuff. All right. Well, I hope that's helpful. Shall we get into the Ask Coach G section? We're at the top of the hour. We got 25 minutes. Let's do it.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now.
Nitro with the nice flow.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now. Let's go. Stay focused, hear the heat come. Concentrate to the sound of the beat drum. Yeah. Start it up, take it back now. Check it out. This is how it's going down. Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much once again for showing up for the super chat here on BMX Coach Live. Again, if we haven't met, I am your coach, Greg Romero. I'm grateful for the opportunity to help you guys out. And let's see, we got a bunch of questions coming in. Let's see if we can find anything here. Jake Jensen says, I'm looking at jumping a triple. Any tips on doing it the safest way possible? It's 32 feet. The biggest jump I have so far is 27, and I overshot it before by a decent amount. Ha ha. Yeah, I would say, triples are tricky, right? The one thing that you want to get used to, the good news with a triple, Jake, is that back your speed down a little bit and just jump the first two as a double. Just get used to the lip, and then when you jump and land on the double part, and then you absorb the third part, look at the landing, get used to feeling that landing, right? And program what that kinesthetically is going to feel like when you land. And then I would say, the longest jump is 27 feet, 5 feet. Listen, just pick up. Hit it as fast as you can and just pick up. I think you got this. And I would say, here's the trick, right? You want to have a positive motivator, meaning what are you moving towards in terms of your mental mindset when it comes to this jump? What am I trying to say here? Listen, when you're going for this jump, you have to have that good positive self-talk. All right, I'm looking to get clean backside. I'm looking to get really nice. I'm going to float this jump, and I'm looking to get clean backside and land smoothly. What is it going to feel like when you land? Oh man, I'm going to feel awesome. I'm going to feel smooth. I'm going to feel confident. Boom. I just gave you the mental state that you need to be in when it's time to jump that. Confident, smooth, right? Confident and smooth. And then that's something that you could say. I'm confident and smooth. Get into that state and then move towards the goal of clearing it with smoothness. Okay. Now, here's the problem with a lot of riders. And trust me, man, I mean, coaching at the Olympic level, right? The World Cup level, where we go to like tricky, hard tracks like Papendal when it's windy, and I'm coaching men and women. Oh my gosh. Crazy stuff. The mindset changes really quickly. They go from a creative mind state to a survival mind state, right? And when you're in a survival mind state, you're moving away, right? You're in a protective mode. So what does that mean? Okay, well, I'm going to jump this section, and my goal here is to not crash. Okay, when you have that mindset, listen, the unconscious mind doesn't understand negatives. It's going to focus on crashing. So that being said, what's important about positive self-talk is that you're basically giving yourself a positive motivator. You're telling the unconscious mind, let's utilize and access all the resources of jumping. You guys know how to jump. You know how to jump. You said it. You jumped a jump that's 27 feet and you overjumped it, right? So you guys can go back in time or go back to a specific time when you jumped something with that you were moving towards a positive motivator of being confident and jumping smooth. That's it, man. It's easy. You got this. Thank you so much for the question. Race with Chase says, what's up? Let's see here. Jose Lim. Thank you, coach. I'm 50 years old and back in the 80s, I'm used to jumping and landing on flat. I can't seem to get used to that transition. Yeah, man, I was born in the 70s and I started racing in the 80s, so I understand what tracks were like in the 80s, man. Yes, there was a lot of pedaling, not a lot of jumps, and yes, the jumps were pretty much flat. There wasn't big lips and there wasn't steep backsides. And so, yes, today it's a little bit more deliberate, right? Things are a little bit more Excite Bike. Remember that video game? It's literally like this, ramp to ramp. And so the best thing I would say as a 50-year-old getting back into the sport is getting used to manualing, okay? Don't worry about jumping just yet. Manualing is going to enable you to kinesthetically encode and master the feeling of navigating the jumps, okay? And it's going to be safer and it's going to be faster sometimes, all right? Sometimes we don't need to jump. So work on your manualing, Jose, definitely. Thank you so much for the question. That's going to enable you to get used to jumps in the 2020s. Johnny Vance, my man, how you doing? Any tips for jumping in windy conditions? Literally the worst thing in the world. Yeah, man. Grab a parachute? I'm kidding. The key with jumping in the wind is understanding, number one, where's the wind coming from? If it's a side-to-side wind, man, I really don't have a whole lot for you other than you got to keep the core tight and stay loose and be like a cat. Just be ready to be ready as a pilot to adjust, right? Adjust the bike. You have to have a little bit of you have to have some emotional flexibility when you're jumping in the wind, especially if it's a crosswind. If it's a tailwind, then be careful, right? Like you may overjump. And that may be a good thing, that may be a bad thing. If it's a headwind, then you might need to heed caution and maybe float it a little bit more because you're going to spend a little bit more time in the air. Or if that's the case, if you can manual it, then manual it. It might be faster if there's a headwind. But yeah, man, I've had a gnarly accident. In fact, I got a little weird bump on my, you can't see it, but I have a little weird bump on my pinky here, jumping in the wind at an outdoor race in Nellis, Las Vegas, Nevada. And there was a crosswind. It happened in the first moto and really steep pro section. And I went up in there and the wind caught me and I was like, oh, I mean, I got locked out. I wasn't going to correct it. I was going down. And sometimes that happens. And the best thing you could do is just get feedback and be like, okay, well, that was the wind. That wasn't necessarily an incompetence of my technique. The wind caught me. So what could I do next time? Maybe go faster and not be hesitant. That would be a way to do, that would be a way to mentally approach a section while it's windy. Just go for it, right? Focus on getting good backside. Just focus on the goal. If you start getting protective, then, you know, when we're in this fight or flight mode, Johnny, we're going to get a little bit tight. When we get tight, we get locked out, right? When you get locked out, you're going to land that way. So you got to stay loose and on the bike, but I think that's going to start emotionally and mentally. Very good question, man. Thank you so much. What other questions do we have? Let's go to the top here. Rolando, thank you so much for your donation of $10 in the super chat. I'm so humble, man. That's awesome. Been trying to overcome my fear of jumping after my crash last year that resulted with a broken collarbone. Looking forward to this. Rolando, I hope I answered your questions. I would say, you know, in an effort to overcome it, we have to start and go back to the fundamentals. Gain your confidence in riding your bike simply by working on pumping and manualing, and then progress to simply jumping easy jumps. You know, work on your technique of floating the jump, pushing through the jump, and then when you're ready and you know you're getting to that state of excellence, right? The conscious competence, and you're moving towards mastery of unconscious competence, then go ahead and make the jump bigger and go for that. Hope that answered your question. If you have any, guys, if you guys have any fears where you're just triggered, like, you know what, my kid just can't jump. He had a crash. He used to be a really good jumper, used to be a really good racer, had a crash, and since then it's completely changed the way he's raced. If you guys have extreme cases like that where your kid is just full of fear or you're full of fear, hit me up. You know, I'll take care of it. I can handle that in an hour. I had a racer that looped out on a step jump back east. I think it was like Georgia. And the dad came to me and was like, listen, man, like my son's just not the same. And the dad was like kind of crying, right? He was really upset. Like it was hurting the son's ability to enjoy the sport in which he loved so dearly. And, you know, all we did was we performed, we just reframed the way he looked at jumping and got him looking at it more in a positive, as a positive motivator, looking for, you know, being confident and smooth and having fun in the air. I have a girl that I coach who's in England, and she was fearful of jumping, you know, the pro section coming out of the second turn. And, you know, every time she came out, it was like, oh man, you know, the arena's dark and I get this feeling of just like, oh my gosh, I'm tightening up. I was able to reprogram that to where when she was entering the first turn, she was feeling really good about it. She was empowered, feeling powerful, but she had a smile on her face. And she saw herself jumping with style. So we reframed it to the point where it was like, okay, when you're going to be hitting this big jump, you're going to be styling and smiling, or smiling and styling. That was her self-talk, right? And she was able to anchor that state and trigger that state and get into that state and sustain it. And now she's back to jumping with confidence again. What other questions we have? Let's see here. Jean-Philippe says, thanks. I like the idea of practicing this on flat surface. Yeah, the turning. Absolutely. Here's a cool question coming in from a beginner. Omar says, I have a Haro freestyle bike and I don't want to spend money as a beginner on a race bike. What can I do to modify it to use the freestyle bike as a race bike? Well, I would say first and foremost, Omar, I would make sure that your gearing is set up properly. I don't know what the gearing is going to be like on your freestyle bike. That would be the first thing. Second thing is I would make sure that your handlebars are in the correct position, meaning that they're not too far forward, they're not too far back, they're just right. Okay. So like maybe a degree, get it to line up with the fork angle. Okay. And then of course with freestyle bikes, the rear ends tend to be short. So if there's some room in the dropout, maybe you might want to lengthen the rear end, and that way you're not looping out easily when you manual. In BMX, there's a lot of manualing that's happening. Also, with a longer rear end, if you do happen to jump something and you land on the back wheel, you're not going to loop out easy. Okay? I hope that helps, Omar. And welcome to the sport, my man. Thank you so much for the question. Roger S. says, NorCal Team Full Pull in the house. Hey, Greg, Team Samco in the house. Oh, wow. That was my first national team sponsor, man. That was like 1984, 85. Wow. Great memory. Jean-Philippe says, for jumping, do you have any tips to learn bike control? I see 12-year-olds tail whipping everything to get the bike control. Yeah, bike control for what purpose? Are we talking to whip, or are we talking about getting bike control in the air? So yeah, whipping, I guess whipping does, it's kind of styling, right? Like it does allow the rider to feel like he's in control. That's not something that I teach. I don't preach to riders at that level, like, hey, man, like, let's style. No, I focus on ways to get through the jump faster. So like a push through style, or a floating technique. Those are the two techniques. Now, those are techniques. Now, keep in mind, you could perform the same technique with your own style. Okay, you could throw a little bit of, a peekaboo action with the handlebars or whatnot. Let's see. Let's check out these two guys again. Remember this? I mean, these guys are doing push throughs. The bikes are everywhere, but this is not on purpose. This is just a way for them to stay low, right? They're finessing this bike. They're doing this with all finesse. The only thing that's really tight, if anything at all, is their core. But their hands and feet are moving. They're moving dynamically, right? The muscles are dynamically pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. And that dynamic push and pull comes through learning the technique of pushing through, the push through technique. The push through technique will teach you how to push through, push down, and then pull back up again, right? And that kind of keeps the bike, it looks like they're doing like a tap manual. It's kind of an illusion, but they're basically keeping the front and rear wheels even across the lip. If not, they even go a little bit dip below. So pushing through, and then picking back up, and at the last minute they're getting that rear end to clear the landing, and then they're just kind of finessing the bike to drop into the backside there. And so practice that technique first. I would say whipping is not necessary. It's fun, but is it really beneficial if you do it and you get passed? Okay. All right. Chris Diffenbach says, my issue is I'm over clearing jumps no matter how hard I push down. What can I do to maintain speed and stay low? You need to find jumps that are bigger, man. Yeah, that's a tough one, because you don't want to hit your brakes before the jump. Maybe you stop pedaling a hair below. I mean, I could think of when we went to the Rio Olympic Games, and it was frustrating, man, because there was the first straight ran north and south. One day there was a wind coming out of the north, so everybody was over clearing the first straight. The next day there was a headwind, so everyone was casing things. And so you just have to be able to adjust and go with the flow, right? Emotionally and mentally first, right? Don't get frustrated because you're over clearing it. That's a good thing. Now, in an effort to be safe and to ensure that you're getting backside, you might want to taper off your speed. Maybe you might want to Maybe you might want to stop pedaling 10 feet before the jump. There's nothing wrong with that. Because if you get clean backside and you maintain momentum, then you shouldn't get past. Hope that's helpful. Rolando says, thanks, coach. Love all your tips, and thank you for sharing your knowledge of the sport. Hey, man, I don't even know what to say. I'm humble. I'm grateful for the opportunity. And I love being here. Again, my MO is all about helping you guys thrive and experience your potential and to sustain it, right? And then, of course, if we can get majority of us that have not necessarily mastered the sport yet, if we could start mastering our skills, we're going to enjoy the sport more. And that's really what BMX is all about, because we get into the sport for fun. It looks fun, and it gives us some individuality to express ourselves, as opposed to like ball sports where it's like, man, I played baseball when I was 8 years old, and dude, I sat on the bench straight up. I wanted to play second base, and I got beat out by a girl. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start racing my bike. and I enjoyed it. It was fun. It looked fun, and it was fun. And yeah, the challenges for most of us is to try to keep it fun. And so, my MO is if we could master the skills, then we can retain the fun. Isn't it ironic? We get in for fun, and then we kind of get competitive, and then we kind of struggle, and it's like, oh my gosh, this isn't fun. And then we have to, you guys have to listen to me in an effort to figure out what our issues are and then try to find that fun back. It's ironic, isn't it? But I know what it's like. I've been in your shoes, guys. Well, cool. We got 5 more minutes. We're doing really good on time. There's a couple games that I want to watch tonight, and I need to have dinner. There's a Monday Night Football game. I'm a huge football fan, and there's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's Game 6, Tampa Bay versus the Dallas Stars. I'm rooting for Dallas to push a Game 7. So if you know the score, don't blow it for me, please. All right, what else do we have here? Any more questions? Let's see. Let me just scan through here, see if there's one more question I can grab. Fernandino BMX, hello from Brazil. Jose Jimenez, how do you know where you will land if you will overshoot or not? Man, I think it's overshooting a jump, that's been coming up a lot. So I would say you need to practice that. And that's where learning a bunny hop would come in handy. So when you bunny hop, okay, to do a proper bunny hop, you pick up, you press off the back wheel, you catch air, and then the idea is to land on the back wheel again, right? You don't want to do a bunny hop and land front wheel like that, right? Front wheel, back wheel. It's just awkward. It feels weird. It hurts my neck thinking about it, right? And so you want to learn how to do a proper bunny hop and land on the back wheel and do it safely. And I would say when you over jump, you definitely don't want to land front wheel. Dude, that's disaster, man. You over jump something, you land front wheel. Dude, the front wheel, bars could do this one and you're going over, you're tumbling. So you definitely want to learn how to land evenly, right? Like try to land back wheel first, kind of like an airplane. Back wheel, front wheel. Imagine if an airplane lands front wheel. Dude, you're sitting in the back in 90E. Dude, it's going to get squirrely. You're going to be all over the place. I'm kidding, but imagine that, right? If you were to land front wheel, back wheel, you're asking for trouble. So we definitely want to land back wheel first when in doubt, when we're overshooting it. Overshooting it does happen. Jake says, when should I go clipless? I don't know, man. Whenever you're ready to go, your unconscious mind knows better than your conscious mind. Go, just do it. Give it a try. Let me look at, there's a couple questions here. One from Ted, one from Aaron, one from Sebastian. We got 2 minutes. Let's see what we could do here. Sebastian says, if you pedal in the air, does that make you faster? Because when I do it, I don't really feel anything. Yeah, Nick Long and Maris Strombergs. Maris is retired. Nick is still racing. They love pedaling in the air. And does it make a difference? No, obviously it doesn't. However, I would say mentally it's a positive motivator. They just know that if they're pedaling, they get the sensation that I'm winning and they're going for it. So if it helps you mentally, psychologically, right? I'm pedaling in the air. Okay, cool, do it. But in my opinion, I think getting a pump is better. You never see Corbin or Connor Fields pedaling in the air. They just won't do it. They see the benefit of getting clean, good backside. And when you get clean, good backside and you get a nice big pump off of it, it's way better than pedaling in the air all tall. And then, because like when you land and you're pedaling, you're kind of interrupting the benefit of generating speed off the transition of the backside. So the answer is no. Work on getting clean backside for sure. Ted says, do you have any tips on how to set up clipless pedals and shoes for the first time? Ted, thank you so much for the question. I don't know if I have enough time for that. Perhaps maybe that will go into next week's BMX Coach Live Q&A, the Ask Coach G section. Thank you so much, though. Aaron Greenreich, can you remind us what tutorial you have on your website that covers jumping? You mentioned it earlier. Yeah, if you go on bmxtraining.com /pro, go to the jumping section. There's lots of videos over there, Aaron. Check them out. Yeah. Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. I am grateful for the opportunity to be your coach. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you so much for supporting me and supporting each other in the community. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, info@bmxtraining.com. And of course, if you're watching the replay, let me know. Let me know what is it that you're doing to regain your confidence and overcome fear when it comes to jumping. What are you doing to overcome your fear? Is it working on your technique? What are you doing to regain your confidence? Leave a comment below. Let me know. Let the community know. Let's help each other. Once again, thank you guys so much for being part of the live show. Make sure you guys check out bmxtraining.com if you guys want to support me. Also, at bmxtraining.com, once you become a member, let me know. I'll give you guys some free downloads. Also, the new store is up, store.bmxtraining.com. I have a Grants training plan in there. I have more courses coming out. I have a couple courses in there. I have a 12 and under faster first rate course, if you guys are interested in that. I also have a Gate Start Secrets training course in there, brand new. That's a 4-week course. And then I have a bunch of new coaching products in there for people that want a la carte coaching, right? Like overcome fear of crashing. I can help you out with that. Go check out those products. That's over at store.bmxtraining.com. Guys, thank you guys so much. Much love to all of you guys. I'm so humble of you guys joining me and keeping me occupied. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be your coach. You guys have a great evening. You guys keep training, keep riding hard, keep working on positive motivation, keep looking for the best and most optimal outcome in everything and anything that you do on the bike and on the track at the races. And of course, I'll see you guys next Monday, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. You guys, good luck, and I'll see you guys at the races. Let's play this one and end with this. This is just absolutely beautiful.